Let's see how we can create our first ASP.NET Core project. To create ASP.NET Core projects, we need to have one IDE, and I am using Visual Studio 2026 for that. You can use 2022 also, that's not a problem. So once we launch our Visual Studio, we'll be having this interface. By default, Visual Studio provides all these templates. Since we are creating a ASP.NET Core project, we need to find the template. To make that easier, Visual Studio also provides us a filter here. As we are using C Sharp, we can select C Sharp from this combo box. We can select Windows and select Web as a project. After selecting this, Visual Studio sorts some of the templates for us. And when we scroll, we can find ASP.NET Core empty template here. We'll use ASP.NET Core empty because we need to understand each and every file this project uses. So if we use ASP.NET Core empty, we can understand it properly. We can also use ASP.NET Core Web App, which uses Model View Controller. By default, Visual Studio creates so many files for this, so it will make us harder to understand each and every file. And even this is not good for big projects when we create. So let's select ASP.NET Core empty and click on next. So we can give the project name whatever we want. I'll give it as first web application, and the location you can choose whatever you want. I'll use the same solution name since I'm not differentiating the project and solution here. If we want the CS project file and the solution file to be in the same folder, we can check this checkbox, but I don't want it. I'm not selecting this. Let's click on next. Since I'm using Visual Studio 2026, it supports .NET 10. I'm using .NET 10 in this tutorial since that's the latest version of .NET. We'll be not using HTTPS for now. We'll learn that later. And I need top level statement from C Sharp 9. We can have a top level statement where we cannot see those static void main functions and all. This makes code cleaner. So after selecting all of these things, I'll click on create. So a new project will be created from Visual Studio using Visual Studio. So once it creates, Visual Studio takes some time to prepare all the files and to prepare the builds. So I'll pause video for that. Now we can see Visual Studio has prepared our first ASP.NET web application. So this is the solution which we provided during project creation, and this is our project name. So if we double click on it, we can see we are using .NET 10 as a target framework, and this is just a simpler CS project file where we can see what and all we are using in this project. So the main entry point of ASP.NET Core project is Program.cs. Let's open that file. So in this file we can see there are 4 lines, and these 4 lines will create and run our ASP.NET Core project. So the first line says web application dot create builder. This create builders create a web application builder object, and using that builder object we can load configuration environments of our web application, and also we can create and use default services. Environment settings are nothing but the settings which we are provided for our web application to configure. So this web application builder instance is loaded into this builder variable. Let's say if we want to access environment settings, if we type builder, we can access environment, we can access services, and we can access configuration also. So we'll see that later. So once the builder object is created, web application builder instance will be provided, and that has a build method. So this builds web application and will be provided with web application instance. Using this web application instance, we can configure our middlewares, which helps to run application. We'll check that later. We have this one more statement which says when request sends to this root path, we need to get this hello world as a response. And we have one more line which says app.run. We need this statement to start the services, start the server of this application. And without this run, the application server will not be started. So we need this line. Let's save and run the project. To run this project, click on F5, or we can also select this HTTP run button, which runs with debug as a preference, or and we can also run without debugging as well. So once we click start, this server will be provided for us from Visual Studio, and we can see uh, we are using some random port number. We'll check that later. For the local host, we can see hello world as a response. We are getting hello world as a response from here, which states when request sent to this path, we need to say this response. We can also change this response, and after changing it, if we relaunch the project, we can see the response message has been changed. In the upcoming video, we'll see what is this port number, from where it has configured, what is this console window which got opened when we ran our project. Thank you.